Good morning, my fellow yoga travelers. I'm mighty glad to be alive today, and I hope that you are too, as we continue to live, laugh, love, learn, linger, and live the life we love. Well, today's Thursday, so it's my story day. This one is from Japan, called The Old Man Who Lost His Wen. W-E-N. It means like a sebaceous cyst. Oh, long ago and far away, there was an old man and woman who lived near a forest. And in his youth, he was very, very handsome. But as he got older, he got this horrible wen, which is like a sebaceous cyst on his face. He tried all kinds of potions and powders and went to different healers and magicians, but none of them helped. And at last, he learned to accept it and even make jokes about it. Well, one day he needed some firewood, and he went into the forest to get it. And as he was doing it, he saw some storm clouds appearing, and it looked like it was going to really be a bad rain. And so he covered the firewood so it wouldn't get wet, and then he hid in the hollow of a tree till the storm passed. The lightning flashed and the thunder rolled, and it was really horrific. It was raining so bad, and it took hours before the storm was over. And then when it was over, he started to emerge from the hollow of the tree, and he heard some voices, and he said, "Oh, it's probably my neighbors. They were worried about me." But then what he saw from those voices was a bunch of demons and goblins heading his way. So he freaked out because he knew if he saw them, they'd probably kill him and eat him. So he went back into the hollow of the tree, and wouldn't you know it, what seemed to be the chief of the goblins and the demons sat down with his back to the hollow of the tree and said, "Let's have our picnic here." They spread out the thing and they started to do their picnic there. And all of a sudden, the chief, the king of the goblins, said, "All right, who will dance for me?" Oh my God. So the goblins got up and they started to dance. And the king of the goblins said, "You're so clumsy. You're so ugly in what you're doing. Are you kidding me? You're so awkward. That's not dancing. Isn't there anybody who will dance for me?" And the demons looked around at each other. Nobody had any idea what to do. And the old man, who loved dancing, wanted to go out there, but he thought, like, God, if I expose myself to him, he'll definitely kill me. But he threw caution to the winds and he said, "I can dance for you, sire." And before the goblins had a chance to decide what to do, he just started moving and swaying, whatever. And everybody seemed to be mesmerized, and he realized his life depended on it. And so he gave his total concentration into dancing and doing what he could. And it was beautiful. And all of a sudden, everybody was swaying to the music, and the king applauded us. "This is fantastic. Sit down here next to me and enjoy the feast." Gave him a cup of wine, and they were really enjoying themselves. And he said, "Would you come here tomorrow and dance for me again?" He said, "I'd be most happy to do so, Your Majesty." So as he was about to go, the Goblin King's advisor said, "Now listen, you can't trust these human beings. You know what they're like. You got to get something from him as like a guarantee that he'll come back." Well, the Demon King said, "All right." So he reached out and he grabbed the old man's wen and pulled it off his face and said, "Here, I'm going to hold this as a guarantee that you'll come back." And he felt his face, and for the first time it was smooth for many, many years. And he was thrilled, and he went back home clapping and singing and skipping and everything. And he told his wife everything, and they were so overjoyed. But he had a vain neighbor who also had a wen on his face, and he hated the fact that he looked that way, and he hadn't been able to cure himself either. So he asked the guy what happened, and the old man told him the whole story and said, "Well, I'm going to go there tomorrow. You tell me where that tree is." So that's what he did. He went there tomorrow, and the goblins came back. They set up the demons set up their picnic and everything, and the old man, the other guy, came out of it, and he started dancing, but he didn't know how to dance, and he was stupid and clumsy, and the Goblin King said, "This is not the way you danced yesterday. Get out of here. I don't want to see you. And take back your wen." And so he grabbed the wen that he had from the old man and he threw it on the vain old guy, and now he had two wens on his face. And sure enough, when he went back, he was so embarrassed by the whole thing that he always wore a hat over his head so no one could see the two wens that he had on his face. As for the other old man, he lived to a ripe old age and spent a lot of his time enjoying himself, singing, dancing, whenever he could, and he was happy indeed. And that's the story of the man who lost his wen. All right, there's so much symbolism to that about self-confrontation, self-reformation, and self-transformation that leads you to what I call emancipated innocence. But that's for another time to talk about that. Hope you enjoyed that anyway. Okay, so now, for my journal friends, really simple. It's something that we all know in our heart, but you just have to check yourself to see how often do you actually follow up on this. How often do you tell your spouse, your kids, your family, your friends, your coworkers that you care about them or you love them? You stingy with your blessings, or you let them know on an ongoing basis? You let me know. I'll tell you what I do. All right, now my teacher always says the body is a field or a laboratory of perpetual research and experimentation, even though most days it's a failed experiment. But as we said, failure leads to determination. So keep at it. The more reps you do, the better you'll get at it, whether it's playing your guitar or improving your asana practice. Now, the Taoist masters say in the I Ching, if you maintain obedience to the immutable laws of how things are, after certain scarcely noticeable signs of your aging and process of decay will appear, if you heed those first signs and check up on them in time, that is what you can do to battle the ravages of age. And then hopefully you'll be able to complete your work so it'll bear fruit in the future. So tune into the way and see what that does to you. Now, I've always believed that singing creates non-ordinary states of altered consciousness, trance states you could say, because we're altered by sound vibration, which awakens different layers in our psyche that for many of us are unsuspected and therefore unused and therefore not seen or heard. So my prayer for you is learn to sing, even if it's in the shower and no one can hear you, so you can shatter your heart, so new room can be created for limitless love, which we all have within us once we can let it out. So how can you restore peace and happiness in the moment besides singing and live free in the spirit? Well, you got to be willing to face your fears and let go of anything that limits your ability to share the love that you have, because you deserve to share it. Other people deserve to get it, and it'll probably elicit more love back to you. So be receptive to that as well. Now, because I'm a teacher, obviously I've set myself up that I'm not going to impose my knowledge on people, especially if it's unsolicited. Unsolicited advice is a form of abuse. But I am willing to teach when asked. Now, what I've learned from the elders, and this is a great thing about imagery, when I'm with the elders, it's like taking an elevator from the bottom floor to the top of a skyscraper, where there's a revolving restaurant. And you sit down and you have a cup of tea with the elders. And in an unhurried way, in the course of an hour, as the restaurant revolves around 360 degrees, you contemplate the landscape for miles in every direction. And it expands your perspective. It enlarges your perspective so much that when you come back down and you return to the hustle and bustle of life, you carry this wider vision into every one of your daily transactions. Get it? Find out who's the elder either within you or the ones that appeal to you, and take that ride to the top and see that expanded perspective. Now remember, there's no such thing as an undemonstrated awareness in the world of affirmation. It's just an outward reflection of an inward and spiritual grace. So there's no luck here. This is application of natural law. And what they say, there's no lack in the divine mind, the ultimate, all-abundant one. Any lack, according to the masters of affirmation, is failure to realize at that point that spirit is there. The presence of spirit is where we think there's all lack. We just don't see it. So just remember, look at what you create. What you look at, you create. And remember, you can't look at what you don't want and feel good. So learn to look at what you do want and feel good with that. Have a great day.